Super quick preamble here because I know some of you are going to be like, oh my God, was there no last episode with Sara? Relax. I'm just throwing on my friends Jake and Shannon on the main here now because there's a really juicy, hilarious, absolutely unhinged Halloween situation. That's third. You know it's timestamped in the description, baby. There will be 2 more episodes with Sara. One will be Keith and the girl, and if I get my life together, that will be coming out on Wednesday, and then there will be a final main feed episode that will come out Monday of next week. Hi, everybody. Welcome to AITA Pod. I'm joined today by 2 folks, lovely, lovable guests. Shannon D, actor, writer, director. She's been on the program before. And Jake Davis, the Weed King and man about town.
How you doing, Dan?
Welcome to the show, guys.
Good to be back.
Happy to be here.
This
Very
is so
excited.
good. Shannon, I want to give you a public props right off the bat. I threw a waffle party. Many of you know this was a big moment of growth for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing social stuff now, Jake, okay? I'm doing social events. Shannon was my #1 wingman. Danny, what can I bring? Danny, what did you already buy? What should I buy? Then I told her what to buy and bought it anyway, like a moron, but that's on me. Thank you so much, Shannon.
You're welcome. Well, I also got the ball rolling with it too, if you don't remember.
Tell me.
Because you said it on the podcast. And I was like, can I please be invited to said waffle party?
Oh my
And
God,
you were like,
yes.
you're right. I need to do that. I'll do it this Sunday. A lot of people showed up too. Jake was not there.
Awkward.
I don't know how to be gentle about this, but I was indisposed with my 30-something-year-old body dealing with food in a way that I used to not have to deal with it. So
Was it the D?
That's one way to phrase it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I see,
It was one of those days, and I think it's
not
important.
dysentery, the other one, the more common one.
And it's important to be, I think, honest about that because it's something everybody can relate to. We've all had a function where it's just like, I'm not going to be able to navigate this situation with this going on.
No.
You don't want that.
Especially when the party is revolved around food.
Waffles in particular. Like, you know what would help right now? Bunch of sugar. That would set me straight,
Sugar
I tell
and
you.
carbs.
That'd be great. Well, I was still in my keto phase, so I actually...
Wait, you're not doing that anymore?
I'm moving out slowly now. I had an apple. That's when you know a diet's fucked up, when it's like no apples. You're like, isn't this a doctor a day thing? No, none of that. It's poison. No bananas. So yeah, I'm starting bananas, apples, whole grains, slowly moving out of my keto journey.
Good. You'll
Good
be
for you.
happier.
Yeah. But here's another party miss, really stupid. I bought all this bacon, eggs, but I left them in the fridge. And there's this psychological thing of like, people need to see them out.
Yeah, you have to offer them.
Well, no, I did offer, right? I would be like, do you want a waffle, bacon, eggs? And everyone would just be like, yeah, just a waffle. It's like people can only order what they see in front of them. So nobody asked for eggs.
Oh, I thought you hadn't even brought it out.
You got to put them in
I didn't bring them out.
You got to put them in a bowl. You got to
put them in a bowl.
You got to get it started.
Eggs are tricky at a big party like that too, because you almost have to time it right when everybody shows up, because if they're like waffles, you can get out on the table a little bit earlier, they're still going to be fine, but those eggs have a lifespan.
They get
shelf life.
Gross once
And
you pass a
also,
certain
people like them different ways.
Yeah.
So you have
there's
to be
so many
aware
ways.
of that.
If you order a poached egg at a party, you're an asshole, though, right? That's come on.
100%.
Scrambled, sunny side up.
Over easy.
I guess boiled. What's over easy? That one always gets me.
Over easy is just like sunny side up, but then flip it.
No,
It's
Oh,
really,
what? That's the most common,
it's
easiest
good on a
way.
breakfast
Oh, you just
platter.
flip it? Okay,
Yeah.
When the yolk gets all kind of runny with the other stuff around, I like an over easy.
That's what
I do like a runny
Stand
yolk.
by
I
it.
did
Yeah.
recently panic. I love a breakfast burger at brunch. I panicked when they asked, how do you want your egg prepared? Because almost every time on a breakfast burger, it's just fried sunny side up, something like that.
Yeah.
So given the option, I panicked, couldn't remember a single form of egg that I've ever heard of in my life, and just kind of barked out, poached! And they get, I ordered a poached egg on a breakfast burger. And
Wait, I think that would be good.
it was amazing.
Because it's basically eggs Benny.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think a poached egg is the most beautiful egg. And by the way, for a moment, I was like, is this an egg podcast? Because that's somebody should. But Shannon, you've also recently invited me to your variety show in your backyard, in a backyard. It wasn't your backyard,
No.
but yeah, props on that. It was really fun. I had a good time. I did some stand up.
Yes, he did amazing.
Thank you so much.
Great.
It was super fun. And
Yeah, it's a variety open mic. So there's music and there was characters. I did a character. We hosted in characters, the Sanderson sisters. That was fun.
yeah, that was very fun.
This is like my first time ever hosting. So I was really nervous, like the in between of it all, like having to like go up and then, because like we had the sketch written as the intro.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh, we have to like go up in between. And you know how like usually hosts like have a little banter or whatever. Well, I don't really do stand up. So I was like, I don't fucking know what to say.
I think you killed it.
My favorite hosts are ones who don't rely too much on that in-between banter. When you just keep it hot, steady, get it to the next person. That's what people want to see. You get your opening, maybe work in a little bit of crowd work if you sense a lull and need to pick people back up. But like when the host is doing their own 5 minutes between
too
each
much,
set,
it's too much. But and it is Halloween weekend. We're all wearing cat ears if you guys are watching this on video or seeing a TikTok. But Jake, you had some concerns though about the LA Halloween scene. You were telling me
it's kind of going down. I mean, I grew up and then like through my 20s, LA Halloween was always just a big explosion of parties everywhere. Like fireworks going off. You knew it was Halloween weekend. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm just getting older and not out in the world as much.
You are. I mean,
that's
we all are.
that's all very true. But
you in particular though also. But.
I'm running into the
because
cave.
you're tall, you age faster. That's true. Tall people die sooner. This is as a short man, I fucking clutch little facts like this at night.
There's been a lot of microaggressions towards our height ever since we've been here all day.
Give me a break. Microaggressions, so you're calling me micro. You bigot. You fucking bigot.
I do think that it might be something for Danny of two tall people being in his house without anybody else scaling.
It's a lot.
That might be part of it for you.
It's bringing out my hostility. You guys are just, you're tall and beautiful. But anyway, but you're saying Halloween is sliding.
I just think that ever since the lockdown, there's kind of been this like, you used to see like parties spilling out of bars in any part of town, everybody coming out for it. And it just was like, it felt like everybody stayed home last night, which is fine. I went to a small gathering of friends. I didn't do anything crazy, but we were in the middle of a big party area and there was nothing going on.
I'm actually pretty relieved though, because I kind of felt like a loser a little bit last night. I'm trying to shake that off a little. I showed up at a party yesterday, a barbecue, midday party. Okay, the party started at 2. I showed up at 2.
Bam. On the nose.
Crazy behavior.
Need help setting up?
Right? And they're like, oh, hello. I don't know. Is it a faux pas to show up on time?
Depends on the party and your relationship.
Yeah,
to the group.
I feel like it played well. I feel like I had fun with them. We're close enough friends.
Yeah.
You're in the show up on time club.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think anytime after on time, because if you're the host, you should be ready by then.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be like getting your other things together, like everything doesn't have to be perfectly set up. Yeah, if you don't know them well, it's like really uncomfortable. But you guys are friends.
Yeah, no, and we caught up and it was fun.
Going back to the fact that we all went to ASU.
Oh, yeah.
Can I tell a little story?
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah, we missed that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so last week at the waffle party, Danny and I discovered that Danny didn't know that I went to ASU.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yes.
I forgot a lot of stuff.
He didn't know that. I actually just think you just didn't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because here's the story.
Oh,
Ready for the story?
Oh, God.
Okay. It's not embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for me, if anything. Just to give you guys a little backstory, listeners here, Danny and Jake both did stand up at ASU.
Guilty.
And they were amazing at it.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Well, you're being very kind.
Okay.
No, you were. You guys were. And so I used to go to the shows because of our friend Noah.
Yeah.
And then, so I would see you guys there. I knew your stand-up, blah, blah, blah. And then Jake and I became friends because we worked on a project together that you were acting in.
Yeah.
And I was doing like BTS, behind the scenes stuff, and video filming the actors, like asking them questions and stuff.
Okay.
So the way that was like how we first met.
Yeah.
And when I was filming him, and this must have been like when you were like feeling hot, like you were feeling yourself.
This was junior year.
Yeah.
This
so
was
he was
junior
like,
year.
Oh, this is peak Jake.
he was aware
Yeah,
of his
he
like.
knew he was hot.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm filming him, recording him, and at the end of it, he's like,
Don't do it,
so what would you say if I like asked you out sometime? And I was, or like something like that. And I was like, yeah, you could, you could ask me out. And he's like, okay, like maybe I will. And then you never did.
Oh, okay. I thought, see, the way I remember that story is me thinking, I want to flirt with this person. And I'm going to do that. But when I say it, I'm still this like spazzy little kid in my head. So I'm just like, you fucked that up. She's not into this. She's not into this at all.
Yes.
No, but in my mind, she didn't.
Said yes.
It's because I was so bad. I was so bad at being assertive enough to like actually say, you, me, let's go out. I was always kind of asking for permission to ask people to go out. And I had tons of misconnections because of that. But in retrospect, I'm still very, young Jake, young kid coming into his own. We all learn, but I've learned don't flirt with people while they're working. Just general rule of thumb. Yeah. Don't do it. No, and we're all college kids at a party school. Like the standards were a little bit lower, but you hear it played back now and it's just like,
no, Jake, this wasn't that. Come on.
Well, you did seem like I always thought you were very confident, like, because I knew you as like Jake Davis, the comedian.
Wow.
Right.
It was like Danny Vega, the comedian. Like, you guys were seriously like famous to me in school, literally.
But wait, hold on. I got more questions about this. So Jake, you felt her out on this question. You said yes. That was a clear yes. Right.
I honestly, we could roll the tape if Clayton, one of our friends, has it. And I'm dying to see it. So I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure I did say
you were attracted to Shannon, right? And yet you did not pursue.
Because honestly, honest to God, like, I was trying to heal my own shit through dating. So I wasn't really that interested in dating through most of college. I was interested in finding connections to feel more validated within myself.
Right.
And when that's your primary motivation for asking people out, you're taking a lot of like, you don't have any kind of follow through to sincerely even pursue like a casual like meetup or anything, because you're dealing with your own crap. In a way, you're bringing other people into it that don't need to be.
So maybe you got what you wanted. You wanted her to say yes.
A bit of validation. That was the validation. Yeah.
You weren't actually that interested in her. Okay, you guys stare in each other's eyes for 30 seconds. We'll just see what happens. Oh wow, they're really doing it. Come on, you guys are both in relationships.
Don't do that. Don't do that with the Giovanni. That's a character bit.
They're doing their role plays, guys.
Wait, hold on. I'm not done my story. No, that wasn't even the story. That was like a tangent.
I thought that was a story.
No, the story's about you.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got a little ding. You're about to get the bus crash.
I thought you said this doesn't embarrass me.
It's not. It's more embarrassing for me. Okay, listen. So this was all to go into saying that I knew you guys like long before you knew me, basically is what I'm saying, because you guys were stand-up comedians. So then when we all moved to LA, Danny moved to New York, Jake and I we're in LA, and a bunch of our friends were out here.
Oh yeah.
And so we all started hanging out, working together, etc. And I remember one time they were like, oh, like Danny Vega's coming into town. And me thinking we knew each other, I'm like, oh my God, I love Danny. He's so great. I can't wait to see him. So then you come into town and I arrive and you guys are all at our friend Patrick and Ken's house.
Yeah.
And I come in and everyone has already like said hi to you. And I was like, Danny. And you were like a blank stare because you like didn't know who I was. And then I immediately realized like there's no recognition there, that I was like, oh my God, I fucking know who he is. He has no idea who I am. He's never met me. But we ran in the same circles. Oh my God,
yeah.
And so I kind of had to be like, like Shannon. And then like I felt really embarrassed in front of all my friends who because all week I was like, yeah, I can't wait to see him. He's so funny, so awesome. And we didn't even know each other.
Wow. Yeah. That's so cute. I'm sorry I didn't know you.
No, it's fine. But I still feel like it's kind of funny because it's like I was like a fangirl. And I feel like still now, like I listen to the podcast all the time. I like spend over an hour with you every week. Right. You don't spend that time with me.
It's true.
So I still feel like I'm like this fangirl of Danny Vega. In our relationship continuing.
Lauren, you are a friend. Was it Lauren? Guys, we got one heck of an app for you today. Our second story. Wow, that story made me look good. I don't know. I feel kind of famous now. Damn.
I know, seriously.
Holy shit.
I'm telling you. I'm a fangirl.
I definitely thought that could have gone in way worse directions.
I was terrified with that. I thought Drinking Danny was going to show up. I was like, please, God.
No.
I'm going to have to edit this shit. All right, guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Join us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. We got over 130 bonus episodes, happy hours, all kind of good stuff in there. You love to see it. Our second story of the day, this one is trending. AITA for telling my kid's babysitter that it was inappropriate of her to shower in my home.
Oh my God.
Right? It's not about the shower. It's not about the shower.
Okay.
But Shannon, you were saying that you've worked at restaurants. You've been an on and off caterer even to the day. Is that right? Pretty recently?
Yeah, because I act and all of that other stuff. You kind of need to do a little side hustle.
Side hustling.
So I originally started working at a pancake house when I was like 15.
Was it the International Pancake House?
No, this is Uncle
just
Bill's.
Just national.
Famous in the Jersey Shore.
Uncle Bill's, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you, New Jersey. And Jake, you've also been a bouncer and host. So we're starting off with AITA for complaining about a server who stepped over my child while holding a large tray. I was at the restaurant alone, other than my toddler. It was a 2-person table with just me and daughter. I was at the restaurant last night. She spilled her drink, so I had to take her out of the high chair and place her next to me for a moment while I grabbed wipes out of the diaper bag. She was admittedly sitting on the ground for that moment because I didn't feel comfortable putting her on a chair by herself. A waiter was walking by with a large tray and very clearly saw my kid. But instead of saying, "Excuse me," or pausing for a moment to allow me to pick her up, he stepped directly over my kid while holding that large tray. I was pretty upset because I saw him put the tray down at a nearby table and it had several steak knives on it. I complained to the manager, who seemed appalled that the server would step over a child while holding a tray full of steak knives. My husband said I'm in the wrong because our daughter shouldn't have been on the floor in the first place. I agree that typically a child should never be on the floor of a restaurant, but I had to place her somewhere other than the high chair in order to clean up the spill, and she's too little to sit by herself on a chair. The server very clearly saw her and made the conscious decision to step over a toddler while holding a tray full of steak knives. I very easily could have moved her had he just said something and paused for a few seconds, but by the time I was able to react, he had already stepped over her. AITA.
You got to keep the runway clear. I think that's just rule of thumb any restaurant. You know, you don't want to be in the tables in between the tables too long because there's a lot of things moving around.
Sure.
Anything can happen. Bold move to step over the kid.
Definitely. And not just the steak knives, but like a whole tray of food as well. Just in general, because also just the fact that also the waiter could have tripped, not even harming the kid necessarily, but like then all that food is on the floor.
Now, I never worked as a server at restaurants. I've been, compared to the rest of my career, not very long in restaurants, but have been there. I feel like most staffs have that 1 or 2 servers who have been doing it a very long time. Mm-hmm. They're very confident in their abilities. They know what they can and can't do, and they follow that instinct to a T all the time, and most of the time they're right. Hypothetically, yes, there's potential that they're not, but I tend to trust a professional to do their job professionally. I do think the dad has a point of like, you got to put the kid somewhere, figure somewhere out that's not the floor. That's probably not a good idea. You're sort of setting the golf ball up on the tee in that situation.
Putting the kid on the floor happened because of the circumstances here. I do want to ding OP though. We're talking about this tray. Initially, OP says holding that large tray and then says it had several steak knives on it. Several. But later they say it's a tray full of steak knives. Well, those are 2 different things now, aren't they? That's a ding. Slight picture paint there. And I think OP has a good reason to picture paint, right? They want to make it out that something bad happened. But the reality is that something bad did not happen. True. Nobody was injured. Nothing bad happened. You got afraid for a second, right? That's really what happened. Then OP goes not to the person who did the mistake, to the manager to try to get them in trouble. Well, guess what? In trouble for what? Nothing bad happened.
Right. That's so true.
I just don't see how that resolves anything. The manager doesn't care. I've been a manager in a retail space. When somebody went and got the manager, they were talking to the most apathetic person on the planet. I had no sympathy for whatever your situation was because I had a million other things that I had to do. And 9 times out of 10, if the complaint's legitimate and something happened that shouldn't have, I'll talk to you like a person and make it right. But anything less than that, like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, this is so, oh, no, we're going to flog him. We're going to take him out back and beat him with a stick for you. Don't you worry. And then they're fired.
Right, especially since nothing ended up happening at all.
Nothing
she could probably have said something to the server.
100%.
Very
like,
reasonable.
Hey, don't step over my kid with all that
natural reaction.
Knives on your tray.
Well, I think there was nothing to complain about. This was basically an optimization, right? It was to say, hey, just letting you know, I know nothing bad happened, but it was very concerning for me as a parent when you stepped over my toddler. I was just thinking, you're the server, but I guess my thought was it would be a lot safer to just pause and wait for a second should you run into a child in the in the aisles. That was my thought. And I'm sure they would be like, you know, you're totally right. I was in a rush. I was in a zone, you know.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Direct communication will solve so many issues like this. And when you go around the source of your actual discomfort, which also I think part of it was just somebody getting too close to her kid, regardless of tray, regardless of whatever they were carrying. That personal space bubble got entered. I could understand how any parent would see somebody take a step over their kid, and even if they're not carrying anything.
Right.
Yeah, I would be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But also I'm so like passive. I just don't even think I would end up saying anything to either of them.
Yeah, but if someone told you this,
if I was the server, yeah, I probably would just be like, oh yeah, you were right. Sorry.
I got so many other things happening right now.
Yeah, like I'm in the weeds.
Right.
Oh, is that your kid? The perfectly fine one? Okay, great. Note taken.
Yeah. I just personally, if I was the server, I probably wouldn't step over them because I would be worried I would trip.
Right. Kids are very unpredictable. Whenever I run, if I see a kid, you got to be so careful with they move in bizarre motion. They're like rats. You know how rats will like stop and start and then go backwards and shit?
The spatial awareness too, or just object permanence of like a kid will look at you over there, look away, and you were over there, so you're not right here now.
Yeah. Honestly, I would be more concerned that I would be dropping the food as the server than I care if I kick the kid in the face because I'm like, this will make my job so much harder. I'm already like in the weeds, meaning like you're so far behind on all your tables. You have to clean that up. The kitchen has to remake the food.
Oh my God.
You know how that would ruin your whole night. That would put you so far behind. Your tips would be terrible. And so I would be way more concerned with that than the child.
My knees are directly at the forehead level of most small children.
Yeah.
So like, there have been, it's never happened to a point where I actually like hit a kid enough to like knock them down or cause any kind of damage, thank God. But I have made contact, but luckily reasonable parents saw their kid run like a maniac into my knee. They were totally fine about it. But it is one of those things, jobs like that, like I think that parents like, your kid could very easily be in danger at any given moment. I'm sure you're aware of that all the time.
Yeah, you know what I'm wondering here? Because in that scenario, it was the kid's fault, like because they're coming at you. I'm wondering in this scenario because she was the one that put the kid on the ground. Yeah. And now I'm wondering if the kid like had run somewhere and then was the one that like he stepped over the kid.
Right.
Because then it would be like, oh, sorry, my kid's running around.
Yeah, she made a bizarre situation that was unusual, and that's why I don't think she has any right to complain.
Totally.
But it's a situation that's bound to come up. You know, you got to put your kid down.
Yeah.
But Jake, my question for you, this is one of the classic Reddit questions. I feel like you have a huge advantage here. Not a height reference, a knee reference.
Okay.
There's a classic Reddit question that asks, how many 5-year-olds could you take in a fight? And I like your numbers here because the knees at forehead level feels like
I think I could go. It would become a question more about my humanity versus my capacity.
I love that.
I don't know what that number is because I don't. Outside of the context,
is what you're saying. It's a satanically high number.
Wow. If it was a survival situation, I feel like I could withstand the legions.
Yeah.
How many?
Wave after wave. It's really in waves. 100 per wave.
How about 10?
10 per wave.
10 per wave.
I'm getting close to 20. I'm getting close to 20 waves.
I think so.
That's 20 waves.
I think so. Because if you just go knees, then you're putting that's all on like your thighs. Like that muscle's not going to get tired.
Yeah, but it's not like you're not going to knock them out with your knee. You think they'll come right back up?
I think the real
they topple. You know,
the real thing is you got to get one not too small, not too big. Grab them by the ankles.
And
we're going to commercial break. All right, I think we agree on this
BetterHelp.
Yeah. Nice. AITA for complaining about a server stepped over my child while holding a large tray. I think the actual content of the complaint was something to pass on. A good note to directly pass on, but to frame it as a complaint and basically try to get the person in trouble. We agree. YTA.
Yeah, YTA.
Shannon's joke was actually true. This show is in fact sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, we all have lived hard times in our life and we thought, God, I wish life came with like some kind of manual, or is there a way we can look this up? Some people would suggest that BetterHelp online therapy is basically the next best thing. Life doesn't come with that manual, and many of life's challenges can make you feel unsure. And while therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions, be a good way to work stuff out. You guys know I've gone to therapy, and I think therapy is great because look, sometimes you can do reflection and things of this nature on yourself alone, and that can be powerful, but you can't smell your own bad breath, right? That's something that a therapist can help you with. And the cool thing about BetterHelp is that it's the world's largest therapy service. BetterHelp's actually matched 3 million people. It's affordable, and it's all online. So there's no waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. I'm pro therapy. Learn more. Save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/AITA pod. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/AITA pod. All right, this one's trending. Here we go, folks. This is a juicy one. AITA for telling my kid's babysitter that it was inappropriate of her to shower in my home. I hired a babysitter for my 5 and 3-year-old kids 2 weeks ago. My husband works shifts while I work long hours at a marketing company. So far, we've had no issues until yesterday. I came home at 6 p.m. and noticed the babysitter's wet hair and new clothes. She told me she took a shower after one of the kids spilled milk on her. I was confused and visibly upset, but she tried to quote unquote reassure me the kids were fine because my husband watched them while she took her shower, which only lasted for a few minutes. I was more confused that my husband was home when he had a shift to cover. I told her I didn't think it was appropriate of her to shower in my home like that. She argued it was fine and she had no choice and couldn't leave milk on her like that. We argued and my husband heard the commotion and got involved. He said it was not as big of a deal as I was making it out to be, but I told the babysitter that I did not appreciate how she basically ignored how I felt about this and dismissed my feelings. She went home, but we still argued on the phone. She thinks she's done nothing wrong and said I was being unfair when I mentioned potentially cutting her from her salary after that. My husband keeps saying that I'm overreacting and the poor girl couldn't handle having milk stains on her body and clothes. But I couldn't help feel that it was inappropriate and that she should have checked with me. AITA for my reaction?
If the husband was home, she obviously asked the husband, say we're playing it as it lays, and not what we think maybe is happening.
Right.
Why is the mom so mad about it? She obviously asked the husband, like, can I take a shower?
She's mad about it because this isn't about the shower.
Well, yeah.
Hot take.
We're playing it as it lays.
As
it lays to me, there is a deep underlying insecurity here.
Right.
And that's where the anger of the reaction is coming from. Also, I think that the milk is part of this that does come into question. It seems irrelevant, right? But milk?
It's a strange thing. I guess they are young kids.
It's not like soda. If somebody got covered in soda, you're going to get sticky. It's really unpleasant.
Well, milk is sugary and sticky.
Milks are they're 5 and 3-year-olds.
Okay, I don't have a lot of familiarity with texture of milk, I guess. So
you want to clean that up.
It is sticky, yeah.
I guess
it has natural sugars in it, so it's very sticky.
I stand corrected then.
Well, but I see that the milk is potentially a metaphor for what's really going on here. Some other sort of,
milky substance.
Vital milky substance.
Was that the first thing she could think of? If we're not playing it as it lays.
Well, should we play it as it lays first?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's too much to say, right? If let's just say it is all really true, then I would say, well, why are you yelling at this person for taking a shower at your house? I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do as a babysitter if you got covered in soda or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And the husband clearly gave her permission to.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I do have to say, why would you not just take off your clothes and like wipe down with the rag where it got on your body, like where the
what kind of spill
is
was
of
this?
It? Yeah, like dumped, like a whole gallon dumped on your head. And as women, we usually don't wash our hair unless it's like
a big deal.
Super dirty. So if I were to see your hair wet, I'd be like, why is your hair wet? Like, why'd you wash your hair? How much
milk? Was it a milk gun? Like what happened here?
They got her with a Home Alone trap. They're real scamps, those kids.
Yeah.
They set up a big painter's bucket of milk.
Milk just landed right on her head.
And cow trampled me, like It just doesn't really add up. So I think we can move on past the playing it as it lays.
Yeah, is there
There's
update?
something going on. Like,
Yes.
there has to be.
I don't know what it's called. I don't think it's called transference, but it's like that, right? She's obviously this story doesn't make sense. It's like,
yeah.
First of all, not even assuming the worst case scenario, it's already wrong that the husband is home while she's there. That's already wrong. Like, that's bad planning. It's a waste of money. That's already a low level, but a violation nonetheless.
Right.
I got a sitter in your home. I don't understand. What the fuck are you doing, bro?
Did he have an alibi for that? Was that he did he have a half day at work, or was there any reason why he was there? Because if that wasn't addressed, then husband was home when he had a shift to cover. So I'm sure he could have said like, oh yeah, no, they didn't need me to cover anymore. Jerry, his bowling team's over. Like, I don't, he probably had something.
Right.
I think it's pretty obvious that it looks like this husband is probably having sex with a babysitter, which is husbands love. It's one of the most common activities.
A very popular thing in Hallmark movies. It shows it's a
porn,
trope. Porn, of course.
I mean, it makes sense.
One of my favorites, honestly.
Oh, really? You're into that?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, this is vulnerable to admit. You like the babysitter trope?
Yes.
Is it the
interesting
in my visualizations of
So talk us if we can. I mean, do you want to go into this?
Why not?
What are you pretending that you're the young babysitter then?
Sometimes I'm not. Usually when I'm imagining things, I'm not really there.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
fictional.
Sure.
It's like I'm porn in my brain.
Okay, you're not really empathizing with the babysitter. Okay, and then what about it does it for you?
I think what's it called? I'm really bad with words. When you hear the word, you're going to be like, that was the word you were trying to think of. Yeah, taboo. Like that. And it's like wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong was the word I was
wrong unto the wife.
Right.
Okay.
And
interesting.
Or just like any kind of wrong scenario. I've always been kind of into that.
Yeah, I'm into that wrong shit, but I don't know why
it feels like bad, naughty.
This is too heavy for me. I don't know. It's like, oh God, the sanctity of their marriage. I don't know. It's not really that hot.
But as a fictional, as a fictional idea, it's more about the rebelling against status quo.
I guess doctor patient to me is more fucked up, where I'm like, oh my God, you fucking Hippocratic oath violating piece of shit. And that's more erotic than dirty husband.
Is it violating the Hippocratic oath though if the patient needed 50 cc's of love and stat?
Yeah, and that's a good. You sound like a doctor on trial, Jake. You're killing it.
I actually went to med school by accident. One class, I was in the wrong building.
Yeah.
Did you stay for the whole thing?
No. It was way too much math.
Hippocrates just like, well, if you fuck her good, then that would technically. Why are you a country? I thought you were from ancient Greece, bro. But yeah, so what I think this is my theory, and a couple people have sent me this already, so I've been chewing on it. But I think what this is that she's been swimming in the lies and deception of this man for some time, right?
Yeah.
There's a great Drew Michael bit about how when you cheat, there's the cheating, which is when you actually hook up with the person or sexual with the person, but it's made of a million little cheats, right? It's the who are you texting? Oh, no one.
Right.
Oh, I wasn't even texting. I was checking the subway app. There's always subway triple deckers on sale. There's all these weird moments that you're like, oh, okay, and something just feels off, but you can't put your finger on it. And she probably knows on some level. In fact, I think this is one of the top comments here. Rooster Tree writes, what OP only subconsciously realizes that her conscious mind hasn't caught on to yet is she doesn't trust her husband.
Yeah.
I wouldn't frame it exactly like that. It's that as a coping mechanism, because this is so immensely painful for her. She's going to have to destroy her whole life, right? Mm-hmm. Her husband is cheating on her with a 24-year-old babysitter. That's pretty much a divorce, instant divorce. I think for most people, I'm like, for these reasons, I am out, dog. Yeah, So, but that's immensely painful for her, and maybe she's just not ready for it. And so it's easier for her to just not.
I mean, anyone has an instinct, but they say women's intuition, where it's she knows something's wrong.
Right.
So she's like, I'm going to be fucking pissed off until you guys tell me what's really going on.
Yeah. Even if little Kevin McAllister just absolutely slathered this woman in that good vitamin D rich milk, and that was all
extra
completely
sticky,
true.
by the way. Vitamin D is one of the most sticky
That's the stickiest
vitamins.
one, huh?
That's what they
Yeah,
say.
it's super sticky.
Even if that is all completely true, just the act of somebody taking a shower in her home was enough to pique these deep-seated fears that she has, and that speaks to a lot of different layers within the relationship, not just the obvious.
And also, to be honest with you, with that comment about how it's like she doesn't trust her husband, I'm just putting myself in her shoes. I've been with my boyfriend for almost 8 years, and I think of it, and I trust him so much. Even if this happened to me, I would be like, what the hell is going on here?
That's fucking bizarre.
And even though I trust him, and it's not like, I don't like when people are like, oh, you're insecure, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, something weird is happening here.
Right.
You know, okay, something too. If I was ever going to be in the domicile I share with my partner and there was somebody else in the space, that's an immediate text. That's an immediate just like, hey, had to, didn't wind up needing to come in. I'm here with this person. Like, keeping it above level is a huge part of, why trust is inherent, is because it's been earned through little things like that. And him not reaching out and clarifying I'm here with this person, that's a very sus thing to do. That just to me seems like second nature.
I think it's because the fact that the husband was there. Like, if I had like a babysitter and she really did need to shower, I wouldn't care if she had needed to shower.
Well, there's no narrative. If the husband's not there, there's no dark narrative. It's like you took a shower because you had something on you, which is...
Well, some people are weird about that. Like, how dare you do that without asking me? Like, I personally wouldn't care.
Right. Well, of course she didn't ask, though. She might have been even one to normally ask, but she didn't ask because there's going to be more questions.
Yeah. True.
I think the only thing that might be a hang up here, AITA for telling my kid's babysitter that it was inappropriate for her to shower in my home. I am kind of ready to say NTA and the husband and babysitter are, or this maybe the husband is.
Well, I'm not going to blame a 24-year-old for being in this power dynamic, because that's really where I think somebody who would act on this in the real world, the real root of that attraction is the power dynamic. And as we were discussing, the taboo, the rebelling against the status quo, if you were to take all the humanity out of it and forget that it's a husband and a wife, it's rebelling against her boss. And there is an element of that I think would be...
That's good.
Think and I'm not trying to make excuses. A 24-year-old still an adult. But at that age, you are playing with way less of a loaded morality deck than you'll have in just a few years. You're still at a point where, like, the world is new. You can make mistakes. And
it's also not your relationship on the line.
I think you have me on boss, because here's the thing. If a 24-year-old... has sex with someone's husband, she's an asshole. She's partly culpable. Not as culpable as him, obviously, because he's the one who's cheating. She's just cheating with. What is that? How does it work?
Yeah.
Yeah. He is the one who said, I will not cheat on you, to his wife. She never made any kind of an agreement. So, but she's still in the wrong. Like, if my friend said, oh, I'm fucking some guy's husband, I'd be like, okay, well, you are an asshole for that.
Like, morally.
Right.
He's a uber piece of shit. But the boss thing, you've got me there, because in a sense he lords power over her. And she's salaried, by the way, so that means it's a pretty formal babysitting thing.
Oh, she's like more like nanny almost.
Yeah,
that takes a lot of trust to have somebody in there.
I think that exculpates her.
So they must be alone more often than she's even saying. Do you think?
Oh, well, I think this husband has been up to no good for some time. Yeah. That's my whole theory.
And that brings us back to hey, heads up, I'm here in our home with such and such.
He would never tell her that. That would blow up his spot.
Right.
True.
I think you nailed that, Jake. AITA for telling my kid's babysitter it was inappropriate of her to shower in my home. We're letting OP off the hook.
Yeah.
And we're letting the babysitter off the hook. So it's NTA and the husband
do better on the babysitter.
Yeah.
I'd say take the lesson and grow, but not completely off the hook, but definitely not as culpable as the
we're not even going to Sakya.
And also the
age,
kids
though.
Are in the house.
Yeah,
they're in the house.
Too. And
they're 5 and 3. That's not like super young. It's not like a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old.
Kids pick up when stuff like that is being violated, though. They don't know what's happening. They don't see what's happening, but they do recognize.
I have memories at that age for sure. Yeah. There's no update.
I don't think there's any update, but I do have a memory.
I hate when there's no updates. Like, let the people know.
Yeah, I don't think there's an update. But I'm having a flashback here so at my, I hope my parents never hear this. So at my parents' house, there was a side door to the bathroom that you could access, like a front door essentially. And one time I was babysitting my brother and I told my girlfriend at the time, I was like, yeah, just come in through the side door and we can have sex in the shower and you can just go.
Amazing.
That might be the coolest thing I ever did in high school.
Yeah, that's fun. I always like dreamed of having like cool things like that happen to me in high school.
Wouldn't that be so great?
Yeah.
So
I actually had something kind of I wasn't babysitting or anything, but I like brought this guy home. This was like when I was a senior in college and I was living at my parents that year. They moved to Arizona and I brought a guy home and we were in our I hope my parents aren't listening.
Yeah.
We were in the downstairs bathroom and hooked up like there, and it was really early in the morning. So like my dad wakes up early and the door was shut and he was like knocking on like, Shannon. I was like, oh my God. So I think he like went for a bike ride or something. I like quickly snuck the guy out and like,
whoa.
Wow. Do you think you really lucked out of that situation, or do you think your dad might have recognized it?
I think
Dad's
he did.
know.
I think Dad's knew, and I think he just never said anything.
That's good parenting. He gave you space. If that is the situation, I think that's like the healthiest choice a dad can make in that.
Because it's probably more awkward for a dad with a daughter.
Oh my God,
you know.
One time my dad found a condom wrapper and he was like, I assumed you're using this to masturbate. And so yeah, and I remembered it like 5 years later, and I was out of the house and everything, and I was like, he was giving me an out, he was letting me have it.
Yeah.
So I went to Arizona and I was like, hey, you remember when you found that condom in the couch when I was in high school? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you were giving me an out, right? When you said I was using that to masturbate, like you knew that probably wasn't it, right? And he was like, no, you were using it to masturbate, weren't you? And I was like, yeah, of course. No, I was just bringing it up just to see,
Oh my God, wait, do you think your dad uses condoms to masturbate?
I don't even want to ask myself that question, frankly.
He's at least aware that the technique is out there.
Yes. Well, it's easy cleanup.
There's definitely an argument for it. But cost effectiveness.
I know, I was going to say.
Expensive. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Maybe he just doesn't understand the concept of a condom.
Who knows? Who knows? All right, guys, we're gonna wrap up on this saga here. We're just gonna go at this wet and wild. This came in last night this came in this morning at like 6 a.m. So it's a Halloween wild one. We'll just kind of get into it. AITA, weirdest party of my life. Should I confront my son's godfather about it?
Here we go.
What is going on? TLDR, over the weekend, my partner and I went to a Halloween party at our closest friend and his girlfriend's house. Henry's one of our best friend and the godfather, our kid, but ignored us all night. The whole vibe at the party was super weird. Just some petty high school BS going on, despite the fact that we're all late 20s, nearly 30. Ooh, nearly 30.
Oh.
God, so old.
Oh my God.
Henry pretty much ignored all the friends he invited for his GF friends. So he invited friends, but he ignored them for the girlfriend's friends that he didn't know. And we felt bad because two of them had traveled an hour to come, and Henry barely spoke 2 words to them and would just walk away mid-convo to go to his GF friends, who I cannot emphasize enough, he did not know. All the GF friends were rude to us, and by the end of the night, were hanging around and talking crap about us. Every time we went to get drinks, it was super uncomfortable. When we told our friend, he was just sort of shrugged us off, so we left. I didn't think any of us will be going to his party again, but do we say something? We're both really hurt by how much we were just ignored and treated, but it's our son's godparent, and I don't want to start crap. Also, while I'm venting, on their fridge, there are 2 to 3 birth announcements of other babies, but not my son's. Henry is the godparent too, is on the side of the fridge where you really can't see it. It's on the side. There's heaps of room on the front of the fridge. What the fuck is that? There's no way this person is sober.
Oh my God.
By the way,
is that how long it is?
There's like 4 more pages, but let's just maybe talk about that a little and then we'll go into the more details section.
Wow.
Well, first question is, why is Henry your son's godfather at this point? Because I don't think this was one party worth of fallout.
I mean, the side of the fridge.
That's worse than not being on the fridge.
Oh my God.
That's where you put the pizza coupons.
Yeah.
That's true. That is notoriously the coupon spot. But I don't know. I kind of feel like, I don't know, when you throw, I mean, now I'm getting self-conscious because, I had that waffle party and now I'm like, oh, is there someone I didn't talk to enough? But I feel like when you're throwing a party, it's like kind of high stakes. You want to talk to everybody.
Yes. And the the stress is on you.
Yes.
I feel like you usually do give like the host a pass with like their behavior because they're stressed. They want to make sure they're talking to everyone. It's kind of like when it's someone's wedding. Like you're kind of like, well, they maybe weren't like the friendliest with me, but I understand they're like, the spotlight's on them.
Right. It's a stressful day.
Yeah.
I think the two immediate things that pop out, because I've mentioned before, I love hosting. I love finding excuses to do it. Just putting together a party for people, like creating space.
Can we be a party crew then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Will you help with the next waffle thing?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Whatever Shannon and I do.
Yeah, we should do a new type of food.
Yeah.
Maybe eggs next time since we're so well versed.
Yeah, egg fest. That's
Egg fest. But the two faux pas that I'm seeing here are, it's on the guest to mingle. Don't stick with your same crew.
Yes.
Yes.
That already tells me that there's some weird energy here. If everybody's coming in and sticking to their tribe, so to speak, and they're not going and mixing with the new group. But I think it's worth noting, if this guy has never met his girlfriend's friends before, that's a big day for him. That's a
good point. That's a lot of weight on his shoulders.
He needs to really make that introduction with them. And I actually think the biggest mistake here, if friends are meeting for the first time, if he's meeting friends for the first time, you got to do that separately. You got to meet their friends at their own event. Then you got to meet her friends at their own event, and then you guys can start mixing. When you do it all right off the bat,
that's a lot. It's
social dynamics, there's weirdness, but it sounds like everybody here didn't really want to be at this party, Godfather included.
Well, I'm ready to ding OP for their general vibe. I don't sense this whole projection of like, does it really seem plausible at a party of late 20s and early 30s that all the GF friends were like talking shit about them?
Is that what this is?
I mean, is that real? Yeah, all the GF's friends were rude to us.
That sounds like drunk feelings.
That sounds like drunk feelings.
That sounds like
that's crazy.
That is
high feelings in your head.
In your head.
In your head, yeah. And then you're like, Henry's not talking to us. The birth announcement's on the wrong side of the fridge. Like, you sound crazy, OP. I love you. Thanks for the submish, but come on.
I saw it enough bouncing. I can actually hear the like, what the fuck are you so great?
Yeah.
Why the fuck is he so like, oh, I got a girlfriend and now I don't have any old friends and I'm not even on the front of the fridge.
OP, he kind of reminds me of like a friend that is very territorial of their friends and doesn't like when they're hanging out with other people. Like I have a friend like that. She's very much like, I love her one-on-one, but the second other people that are my other friends come in, there's like a jealousy thing that happens.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not paying enough attention to her, so then she starts kind of acting like, like all pouty because she's not getting like attention from me.
I feel that that people who are like that, whatever, if that's who you are, it's petty, but you can hit back. Because like, look, a party is a party. Right? Like it doesn't mean you're not guaranteed a slot, especially if it's like a rager, you know, and even the Waffle Fest had like what, 30 people?
Yeah,
it was kind of chaotic.
People.
Yeah.
I can easily see someone go, oh, Danny invited me to his thing and didn't even talk to me that much or whatever. But it's like, if you're not down for the party to just happen, then I think you can easily hit back a invite to a party text and be like, you know, I'd honestly love to connect with you more one-on-one, but I'm just not really so interested in a party right now.
You can't expect
totally valid.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God, yeah, of course, bro. Let's go to the horse ranch.
And same with going back with weddings. Is like I don't ever think like, oh, I'm going to their wedding, I'm gonna get great quality time with them.
No.
It's not about that. You're just there to support them and have a good time.
Yeah, you're there to bear witness.
And be a good member of the party.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like get the party started, like, you know, meet new people.
Absolutely. Right. And again, like that was the thing that like makes like I'm in my mind's eye, I'm picturing this party and it's Halloween. So I'm just hearing Monster Mash and I'm just seeing two separate sides of the party just completely cordoned off from one another. Yeah. And everybody just kind of being depressed while this like weird, creepy gimmick song just
But that's
plays
OP's
over the
projection,
background.
I think. She wanted to see it or he wanted to see it as high school.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like maybe someone made some comment or whatever. And it's like, okay, one person said one thing. But like, I doubt that all the girlfriends' friends like, oh my God, are those Henry's friends?
Dude, Henry, are these like your friends?
Is this the movie Brink? Like, what the fuck is going on, Disney Channel?
Oh my God.
All right, so now we're going to get, OP, I'm sorry. We're really roasting you here, but look, you sent us a drug submission that's honestly low-key the length of fucking the Odyssey. So we're getting now into the more details section.
Yes, let's hear it.
The party started and everyone was in the cramped kitchen/dining room where the drinks and food were. We only knew 4 other people other than the host at the party. That's not that few.
That's also on you.
4 people?
You know how easy it is to say like, oh, hey, I didn't catch your name when I walked in. Now you know 5. You just repeat until you've introduced yourself to the room.
Also 4? I'm more than happy if I have 4 friends at a party. I got into a party with nobody, man.
Oh, yeah, 4's a lot.
4's a lot.
You got a lot
at the waffle party, I only knew Ken. I had a great time.
Yeah.
But,
you know, thanks for dancing in front of the waffle screen, by the way. I thought that set a good energy. Yeah.
It was like a...
I had a waffle
booth.
Green screen, kind of a photo booth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you weren't there.
You weren't there.
You didn't want me there, guys.
Ooh.
It would have really crammed up the bathroom.
I was just going to say.
OP goes on. The 6 of us moved to the only other seating area, the lounge, on the other side of the house to hang because the kitchen was jam-packed with people we didn't know. Okay. I feel like waiting for OP to be like, their house was too big.
Yeah.
I hated how there were so many areas.
The music was just too good.
We would try to make nice when people come in to look at the lounge room decorations, and while some people were nice and made conversation, most just gave us a dirty look and walked off.
Wow.
There was some kind of quest set up by the host where people had to find clues that we didn't know about. Did you ask, OP? Most people were already rude to us at this point, just coming in asking if we knew where the clue was. They were rude? They were playing the game. Why did you get involved?
What do you want to bet it was on the invitation? They just didn't read it.
Good
100%.
God.
That's a shot in the dark.
When we would try to
They
make
put
conversation.
the invitation on the side of the fridge. They moved it when they got home.
When one couple came in, the guy dressed as a cyclist came in and started talking about the way the fake bones were laid out and maybe it was a clue. My husband said, sorry, we didn't realize there was a quest, so we have been touching things. And Cyclist Man got annoyed and starts accusing us of hiding the clue, then makes us get up off the couch we're sitting on and leave the room so he could search it. We awkwardly stood in the hall while he found what he was looking for on the floor, very much not hidden.
I feel like you guys knocked it off of the place it was supposed to be if it was on the floor.
You ruined the whole game for the entire party.
I feel like these people were just like they were just like, oh, should we do something? Should we play? Should we just sit here? And you all just sat there. And yeah, the cyclist was maybe being a little bit crazy, but
I'm not trusting your interpretation of events at this
That's
point.
exactly. I was just gonna say the
Unreliable.
cyclist could have easily been like, "Oh man, come on, you kind of messed up the game here. Let me look under the couch.
Yeah,
just get up for a sec. I'm gonna try and fix it." And then they just took it like.
Now we have to get up.
Like
We already had to move from the kitchen to the lounge. After the cyclist left, people stopped doing the quest. We ended up back up in the lounge. They capitalized lounge this time.
Oh my God. The
People
lounge
stopped
again.
the lounge. People stopped coming in, so it was pretty much just us. The only thing I could think of is when people were coming in and were trying to be friendly and crack jokes with them, it came off as we were being antagonistic. I don't know, but they didn't like us from the get-go. So everyone in this party is against you, OP? That's your testimony?
People stopped coming into the room we were camped out in. I feel like Cyclist Guy came out as just like, hey guys, there's some people in the back. They seem awfully grumpy about something. I don't know. I just give them a wide berth. I think they're having an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed very much like we all know each other, work with each other, but don't talk to us vibe. As I said above, our friend Henry pretty much ignored us too. We would flag him down for a second, but he would just walk off mid-conversation to someone else. After a few hours of hanging out, this girl named Hannah, who we'd never met, comes in. One of our friends who is a part of our little group has regular seizure, and because of a lightning thing, had one. Hannah walks in the middle of him having one, so we say, hey, he's having a seizure. It's all okay though. So she doesn't freak out, but instead she just starts telling us about how he isn't having a seizure. That's not what a seizure looks like while he's having the seizure. According to her, his seizure was making too much noise, and people having seizures don't make noise.
I'm sorry. Why wasn't this the main part
this
of
is the
the
thing you
entire
should have been
thing?
upset
This
about.
was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Hannah, wow. Okay, let's dig more into her. I'm not so concerned about Henry at this point.
Right.
What?
How are you just going to throw in that your friend literally had a seizure at a party?
Well, can I just say, and I'm all about letting people have a seizure if that's their thing and something they do, but I also don't completely blame Hannah because if someone was like, oh, our friend's having a seizure, but yeah, it's just something he does, nothing to be concerned about.
Yes.
Be like, please go on, because usually this is exactly something to be concerned about.
He's being too casual about it.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
Yeah, didn't think of that. Wow. Also, the audacity of seeing somebody claiming to have a seizure and just like, I'm going to fact check you on that one. No, No,
Hannah sucks too. But like, to be fair, this is, I'm sure everybody's drunk at this point, you know, or has had a few.
Yeah, I agree.
She's
with
like,
that. Yeah,
and you
yeah.
walk into a room when there's a hunt going on, a quest.
How big was this house?
That is pretty
Any
wild,
house
like
with a lounge? Who
gaslighting
has a
somebody's like medical condition.
No, it's hard. No, it's absolutely an asshole move. But I'm like, in this context of a
Right.
Halloween party,
Costumes. People have blood. Actually, one time I was in costume and I actually hit my face really bad and
Oh,
I was
shit.
bleeding
and people were
all
like,
down my face, and people were like not.
Great costume.
Yeah, I was
oh
like,
my
no,
God,
like
that looks real. That's crazy.
It's a dangerous night.
yeah.
Wow, you look really injured. That's crazy. Can I hit you?
No one would help me.
After our friends gets up and was nice enough to try and joke with her about it, like, sorry, I'll try better next time, I guess. Okay, that's a weird seizure, guys. Can we at least, I kind of see Hannah's perspective.
Devil's advocate. Was he not having a seizure?
He gets up and is like, oh, sorry, I guess I should have
I don't know
seized
enough
be-"
about
Like,
what that's like.
I'm not
I don't
saying
know,
like you need
yeah.
to be super serious if you have a seizure. It's cool that he was cool about it. But like, I do feel like Hannah was the cards were kind of stacked against her on this.
This whole night is just wild. I just don't
I've never had seizures, but I do periodically have a thing where if I stand up too fast, I haven't been eating enough or whatever, I'll lose a lot of blood pressure and I'll briefly faint.
Yeah.
That's happened pretty steadily through my life. And
Oh my God.
It's scary as hell when you see it happen. Like, it looks like, as it's been described to me, I think it's happened like 4 or 5 times. It's been described as just like, it looks like the lights went out, but I've been to doctors about it. I've checked in on it. It's just a circulation thing, and being a bigger dude, it's just
I was
He's
gonna bring it up, but
tall.
I
Did
thought
you know
I thought
that?
you guys were gonna chew me out. But yeah, it might be because you're tall.
I was trying to help you out and just like set up the log for you.
Yeah, as a 5'9", if I stand up rapidly, I'm fine. So,
but
gotcha.
When I've seen this happen to other people, I'm always grateful that I'm there because I can immediately like recognize like, he's okay. Give him a second to breathe.
Yeah.
Get him some water. But I was at a party once where it happened, and somebody in the background kept saying, "I think he's having a seizure," and it just kept raising the stress of everybody else in the immediate area. I don't know what the fuck's happening at this party.
No,
though,
and guys, we're not even
chaos.
halfway through the more detailed section. The shit keeps going.
Oh my God.
So then Hannah reportedly says, I heard this is where all the nerds are hanging out tonight. And we were like, ouch. She doubled down and kept insulting us. She then starts getting annoyed because she thinks someone is at the front door. Everyone was instructed to come through the back door, and we didn't know how to open it. She introduces herself to us and tells me this long story about how my name is the name of this celebrity pedophile, and being super touchy with me, and I was so uncomfortable. Eventually, she walks off. I go out later, and she is bitching about us to Henry's GF while I'm standing right there making a drink. She says she tried to make friends with us, but we were so unwelcoming and weird, and complaining about how they all can't go in the lounge to hang out because those people are in there. Every time one of us 6 would go out to get a drink, you're at a party with 6 friends? Sounds amazing.
Yeah, wait,
why is it so
because
bad?
of the partner.
Every time one of us 6 would go out to get a drink, someone was talking shit about us, calling us nerds, calling one of the guys an incel for no reason. They barely had conversation with us, and I think they all thought being called a nerd was super insulting or funny, I guess. Okay, I hope you're drunk. It was so weird. After a while, we decided to all go out into the kitchen to try and end whatever turf war over the lounge we had started. The drama of this.
We're gonna end it one way or the other.
Let's end this war that's in our heads.
Get our wave of 10 kids each.
But I guess because the lounge was dark, they didn't realize it was us standing in the kitchen. They just kept talking shit about us. My husband had been doing this stupid bit where he would go to shake someone's hand, but it was a fake hand, and when they grabbed it, he would scream as his hand came off.
Oh.
Pretty aggressive bit.
And everybody experiences that bit multiple times because...
Yeah.
Wait, that's her husband doing that?
That's a big bit. I mean, I like it. I like it as a bit, but it's kind of a dad joke,
it's
too.
okay once as a dad joke.
Yeah.
And like everybody is getting exposed to that a lot.
Yeah, but also that's his whole costume, isn't it?
Is that his
Get
whole
this.
costume?
He tried to do it with the cyclist when we went to the kitchen and tried to break the ice, but the dude just threw the fake hand back at my husband, like full on pelted it and rolled his eyes and turned his back on him. A minute later, the cyclist guy was ragging on how lame nerds are, and the room got dead silent, and it was like record scratch 80s movie right now. Everyone got awkward, like, oh shit, they didn't hear him, did they? So we left. It was such petty high school, you can't sit with us bullshit. I did not expect to deal with at 26. Oh, you're 26, OP. Okay, now things are starting to come together. We thought you were like 29 when you said late 20s.
Yeah.
You're mid, honey.
Yeah,
you're mid.
The first thing that's jumping out at me is, regardless of like the politics going on, it is a little shocking hearing adults using nerd as
nerd.
It's really like a Disney movie.
Is this one of those where like sometimes people will write in the plot of a movie? Again, we told our friend Henry, the host. Terrible. Wasn't there a Halloween movie, Revenge of the Nerds? Am I remembering that?
That wasn't a Halloween movie, but Revenge of the Nerds is a
that was
wild trip.
That was my awakening.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, sexual awakening.
Really?
At
A
like
lot of fucked
4
up
years
stuff
old.
happens in that movie.
Again, we told our friend
4 years old Revenge of the Nerds.
Henry, the host, about all this, and he didn't care. He would have heard more of the bitching about us than anything as it seemed to be going on every time we went to the kitchen. From what I saw on Facebook, they all stayed and had a great time.
You guys 26-year-olds use Facebook? Okay, this is made up.
People?
How old is this post?
What boomer wrote this shit?
I think it could be Utah, and if it's
it's
not in Utah, I don't know what's happening here.
Is this hashtag Mormon gang? What? We don't even know what this is. Yeah, was it us? Were we the assholes? I understand if they were coming in and we might have felt cliquey, but I even don't feel all the bitching was justified. And I don't know where the nerd stuff was coming from and why this is such an insult. They weren't like sports bro either. They seem like theater kids to me. So I don't understand why everyone's vibes were off. I never want to go to one of those parties again. So I feel like a fight between us and Henry will happen next time one comes around, and we don't want to have to explain why. I mean, the narrative was clearly we were the bad guys. What am I missing?
Interesting.
Believe feedback. I mean, it sounds like there was just weird energy here from the get-go, but
there's two sides to this story for sure.
If you're walking up to every person and no one at this party has met you yet, and your gimmick costume is the hand falls out,
right,
and you're screaming every time the hand
that's pretty intense
gets pulled, you're already off to a bad start with a lot of people, because
I think that's an aggressive bit.
It's like wearing a funny text shirt when you're going to a place where people are meeting you for the first time. They're not meeting you, they're meeting the shirt.
Oh, that's a good point.
These people are meeting the costume, and that's a very obnoxious energy to get when you're trying to meet somebody for the first time.
Yeah, but is it that like insulting to do the hand thing? Like,
it's not insulting, but I think when you're entering into a new group dynamic, and again, they should have not all met each other's friends for the first time at the same party. But I think when you're repeatedly doing that and it's an audio thing, like people keep hearing you do it
quite loud.
Oh,
you're going to start
everyone's
irritating
experiencing
people.
The joke like 20 times.
Exactly.
You might have solved the case.
And
there,
it's at a party where none of them knew him.
Yikes.
And like, it's still weird that they're using nerd as a derogatory thing, but also how drunk was this person? And are they just like putting their insecurities onto everything that was happening around them?
Yeah, I mean, I think what OP should do is just maybe try to hang out with Henry one-on-one and patch this thing up. I think you can't hold it against them. I mean, this sounds complicated.
It's very complicated.
If it were me, the OP is as close with that I'm their godmother of their kid, I would just say to them like, hey, what was going on with like your girlfriend's friends the other night? It just seemed like they didn't really like me and my husband that much. Like what was going on? Like talk to them separately. Not so much of like, you weren't talking to me at the party. What's your deal? It would just be like, I kind of felt like a weird energy. Are they like usually like that?
I think it might be even stronger though to just be like, hey, we felt like the vibes were kind of off at the party. We just wanted to check in and make sure we didn't do anything wrong.
Always good in that situation.
Of even like taking responsibility.
Just leaving open the possibility that you created a bad situation. That makes the conversation so less hostile right out of the gate.
And OP, if you feel like Henry's answer is then bullshit, and look, that we made fun of your account here, we did, but I don't necessarily think you're wrong. It's just that the story you've crafted here was unhinged. But
you were in your feelings, and I think everybody has been there at some point.
Yeah.
That's why alcohol is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
It makes everything, when you're not feeling good, it makes everything feel 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So I've seen it make people hear things that weren't said, that they heard in their own head because they're carrying that with them. And if you're depressed and feeling awkward, like forget what, cannabis can have an effect on you. If you're drunk you're feeling depressed and in your own head, it's explosive. It's bad. So I think that had to have played a thing here, because this party sounds, you said Brink, like this sounds like the bullies at Smart House all grew up and never changed.
And I don't know, OP, if that's a projection of what's going on with you and your insecurities, or if these people really were
like
shitty.
Again,
maybe
it
was
might
a
have happened
bad
in Utah.
A bad bit can really throw a vibe. I've ran with some bad bits, and it's gotten me into a lot of trouble. So I totally understand your husband, kind of being stuck on his bad bit.
And also there have been times too, like with one of my friends, I don't particularly like the people she usually keeps company with. So when I do go and hang out with her, sometimes I do feel a little bit out of place, or like no one's really talking to me, or like trying to. And I usually can talk to like a brick wall, but they are like, they actually just weren't that nice of people, weren't asking me any questions, like weren't ever like acknowledging any like fun little bits or jokes, I would say. Not like the hand bit, but but so I do understand, like if you're just not around people that you vibe with.
Yeah, and
so playing it as it lays, and if their account really is true, again, what you were saying, Jake, is like you can't blame it on your friend.
OP, I think we're gonna give you some grace on this. It was a wild tale, and I enjoyed it. AITA, weirdest party of my life. Should I confront my son's godfather about it? I think we're saying kind of maybe try to approach it with some taking responsibility on your side if you want to salvage this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
But when he's approaching the friend, yes.
Yeah, is there something that we did wrong? And that way, you can see maybe you did. That said, I'm ready to give you some grace, and it does sound like it was a chaotic party. A lot happened. There were seizures.
I think we're all in agreement. Hannah's the worst person in this story. That's there. If everything about Hannah is truthful,
yes, she's the worst.
She is the true villain of this whole saga.
Yes.
And I think for those reasons, Jake, I actually think that's going to push me into ESH. That it sounds like you were seeing something negative, others were seeing something negative, and it became a very negative everyone sucks experience.
I know. I was thinking between NAH or ESH.
I was almost going to go NAH. But
I think there is an argument there if we're, kind of projecting what this all could be. If this was a bunch of stressful, anxious people who are not used to being in environments with a bunch of people they're not familiar with, this could have been everybody putting shitty things on each other that wasn't actually happening. And it could be a no assholes here in a way that like communication could have immediately figured out. But again, we're working with a colorful recounting. So there's a lot of possibilities.
26-year-olds using Facebook.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
That's going to be a sticking point. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, I think we're willing to go. We're going NAH on this, gang?
Yeah.
I think so.
Or are we going to ESH because of Hannah? Let's get Hannah.
I think ESH is the safer bet
Soft
based on the story we were getting.
Hard on Hannah, because come on, Hannah, pull your shit together. Guys, that is the ep. What a wild one. Woo-hoo. Jake and Shannon, thanks for joining me. Did you guys want to plug anything?
The open mic we were talking about earlier in the episode is called Not Too Polished. That's what the Instagram is, at Not Too Polished, and we update the shows there, so give us a follow. My Instagram is look at me, I'm Shannon D, if you want to follow me. Been in like smaller parts on some TV shows. I do some comedy. I have a web series called Not From Around Here, which we already plugged the last time I was on.
There we go.
And fantastic. So yeah, that's me.
Jake?
I'm just having a good time, enjoying being a bit more of a frequent guest around these parts.
Hey, thanks for coming on, guys. It was a blast and a half. All right, guys.
This was so fun.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.